The Just Baseball Show is live. It is Tuesday, February 10th. Thank you to everybody joining us on YouTube and listening on audio wherever you get your podcasts. That's Aram Layton. I'm Peter Apple, and we are joined, as always, by Podcast P. And it is a loaded show. We're going to start with Justin Verlander returning to the Detroit Tigers on a one-year deal. We're going to talk about the recent reporting from Bob Nightingale on the Zac Gallen market. There are 4 teams rumored to be after him. Aram and I are going to debate which is the best fit, and then the top 20 corner outfielders in Major League Baseball. But this is part 1. On Thursday, we're going to do part 2, 10-1, and in the middle of that, our Wednesday show is going to be a college baseball preview, and it's all brought to us by BetMGM. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code JUSTBASEBALL when signing up, and you will get up to a $1,500 new player offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Just download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code JUSTBASEBALL. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. If that bet loses, you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Also, use this BetMGM Any Sport No Sweat token on your favorite sport. Enjoy action without the sweat. Your No Sweat token has already been dropped into your account. No opt-in necessary. Out of golf, hockey, or basketball bets, bet to your bet slip, bet up to the specified maximum stake, and activate the token. If your bet doesn't win, you'll receive your stake back in bonus bets up to the specified amount. Remember, that's code JUSTBASEBALL on BetMGM. Aram, loaded show today. Should we start with Durbin? Do you have any late thoughts on Durbin, or should we just get into Verlander?
I just have quick thoughts there. Where did you guys, I didn't listen back. What did you guys settle on for the Brewers infield? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
I thought it was going to be probably Jet Williams at short, Joey Ortiz at third, and Bryce Terang at second. But Jack also brought up the possibility of Bryce Terang playing short. Is it anyone's guess right now?
It's anyone's guess. I saw John Becker, who's puts together, he's the mastermind behind Roster Resource at Fangraphs. Like, what are we saying? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I this is what I went with, and I don't feel good about it. And I get it. I don't really know what the answer is either, because like we talked about, they traded also their backup third baseman and probably the tertiary option as well. I just wanted to touch on it really quickly because I think it's a really fascinating situation. I think Jet's capable of at shortstop to get by, but we're talking about Terang, who would be above average there, though he did get hurt last spring playing a little bit of short, and Joey Ortiz, who's, I mean, the only reason why he's still in the lineup is because of the defense he can play at shortstop. So you would be giving up a lot of defensive value there. I think the best foot forward would be hoping that Jet can learn third base and just get comfortable enough there. But I also think, like, could there be another move out there? The Astros are still, I think, going to be keen on moving Isaac Paredes. Could the Brewers surprise us and pull something off there? I don't know. I'm interested, but I feel like because this is such a brain teaser, well, it's also the Brewers, so you never know. But I wonder if they may not be done, or if there may be another move there that may just surprise us, because the pitching depth is outrageous now. Kyle Harrison joins 3 other very, very capable pitchers that are waiting in line for a spot in a rotation that's already filled out.
Yesterday, we talked about Paredes to the Brewers, and actually DYM in our Discord made a really good point, and Jack and I were laughing about it. Isn't Paredes the type of player that if the Brewers had, they would be trying to move him?
Yes, but I think...
Doesn't that make you think a little bit?
Right?
You're like, oh, yeah, why would they trade for a guy that they're the kings of trading types of players like this away?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good point. I think at the end of the day, though, if the market, which now the Red Sox are out of it, and they played a part in kind of squashing that market there, and there's not a lot of other teams that are, potentially going to make a trade. You look at the Astros situation. Yes, the rotation is filled out, I guess, for now. But if you give them a controllable arm, MI could go back to free agency after this year if he throws the way that we think he can. I don't think McCullers is going to be. He may not even be an option for them this year, but he's another guy that could hit free agency. Ryan Weiss, who they signed from KBO, is on a 1-year deal. Like Christian Javier, I don't think is. When does he hit free agency? I know they signed him to a deal. I'm not sure, but regardless, there's going to be some spots that open up there. Maybe a controllable arm or a bullpen arm is enticing to them. The idea of putting Jet at short just seems weird to me. And it seems like to be the most common answer right now, because I think that just seems to make the most sense on the surface. I'm excited to see how they utilize Jet Williams, but clearly, the Brewers were very excited to bring Jet in. And I think the fact that Jet was there one way or another, it gave them a lot of confidence to move off of a Durbin and everyone behind him. And they feel like he could potentially plug a lot of different gaps for them.
Where are you at on the Red Sox side before we get into the main topics of today?
I like it for them. Clearly they didn't want to part with, Wilyer Abreu, and I don't blame him. He's still on the minimum, and that's clearly who the Astros were asking for. But even Jarren Duran, like depending on what the deal was looking like, I mean, Jarren Duran's still a guy that if you keep him, he makes your team better. And I think it was always implied that you're going to have to move one of those two guys to upgrade it at third base. And they don't have to do that here. And you still get a guy here that I think is a good chance to be a 2-win player for you. He's not going to strike out. He's going to steal bags. He can plug in at multiple spots too. The fact that he can go play a little second base, absolute break glass for emergency. He can play a little shortstop if you need, but so can Marcelo Meyer. I think just having several infielders now that can play all over is really helpful, especially when, I think there's some concern about Meyer's health. Story was healthy last year, but I think there's always going to be some concern about that. I think he fits in nicely. I am interested to see how, the offense plays in Fenway as well. Because I know you mentioned something in our staff chat that he would have, for whatever reason, only had 5 homers, Durbin, if he was playing his home games in Fenway. But I think he's going to hit a lot of doubles out there.
That's exactly what I said. Because when comparing Bregman and Durbin, right, neither guy hits the ball all that hard. And Durbin's quality at contact isn't great. And his launch angle last year was about 13.9 degrees, which is a little bit above major league average. Bregman's was around 19 degrees. So he just gets more lift into the baseball and he's able to clear that monster. But when you look at Durbin's profile, what it tells me is there's going to be a lot of low liners off the wall. So he hit 25 doubles last year. I don't think it's crazy to say that he hits 8 home runs, but has 35 doubles.
Yeah. And if he does that, I mean, you feel really good. He's going to defend and again, can move to second base if you need as well. If you weren't going to get that clear-cut definitive third baseman, at least have several infielders here that can move around, and they've got that.
Let's talk Justin Verlander to the Tigers.
Yeah.
It is a deal that I think made a lot of baseball fans smile because we all remember Justin Verlander on the Tigers in 13 years with Detroit, 183 wins over 2,500 innings with a 3.49 ERA and over 2,300 strikeouts. He was a 6-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, finished top 5 in Cy Young voting 5 times for the Tigers and won a Cy Young and an MVP in 2011. It is a 1-year deal for $13 million. Funny thing is $11 million of it is deferred, which I found pretty entertaining. But Podcast Pete, can you throw up the stat that you sent to us about how good Justin Verlander was from August on, or that's the exact date is July 23rd. So the tweet reads, 2025 Justin Verlander from his first winning decision to the end of the season. 13 games started, 72 innings, a 2.60 ERA, 3.36 FIP, 70 strikeouts to 24 walks. In that span, he had a better FIP than Tarek Skubal. Now, if you could continue half of that up, Tigers got a pretty good arm, and I think a lot of people are viewing this as a welcome home. It's an old Grizzly veteran who's going to try his best and then end up retiring there. I think Verlander can still deliver a low 4s ERA in 100 and some innings and give the Tigers some value here.
It's funny looking at the 40-something-year-old, the 43-year-old arm and saying he can just kind of eat innings for you, but he really can. I mean, he gave Giants 152 last year, and as you mentioned, and as Peyton laid out, like he got better as the season progressed. You got to feel good about his ability to potentially sustain, and I think there was a lot of positives in terms of like something that clicked for him in this new norm of throwing with slightly lesser stuff but having success. I think something clicked down the stretch for him, but also again, if he gives you 150 innings at a 4 ERA, I think that's again, the cost for innings eaters is right about that. And the fact that they were able to defer pretty much all of it is putting them in an advantageous spot. I think he raises the floor of the rotation a little bit. You think about the vet aspect. You also think about the fan aspect. I mean, I think after the Skubal stuff has been disappointing from an optics standpoint, but he's going to be there this year. You go out and you make another big signing to bring in Fromber. Like there's a lot of reasons to believe that, fans should be optimistic about this team. And then you bring in the guy that I think can tug on the heartstrings, but also has been there, done that, and there's not a lot of guys on this team that have been there, done that. Yes, they've made the postseason the last couple of years and made a little bit of noise, but in terms of just been around the block, I think it's a great fit in that respect as well. And then when you think about chasing milestones, Justin Verlander, 3,553 career strikeouts. He is 148 strikeouts away from top 5 all time. Wow. He could pass Don Sutton. He will pass Don Sutton, barring tragedy. He's only 21 strikeouts away from him. And then he has Tom Seaver about 90 strikeouts ahead of there. And then Burt Blyleven at about 148 ahead of him there. So it would be close if he pretty much gets close to what he did last year, slightly better. I mean, we're talking about a guy that could be top 5 all time in strikeouts, only behind Steve Carlton, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, and Nolan Ryan. It'd be pretty special to achieve that too in Detroit.
And that shows the greatness of Justin Verlander, that he can be top 5 strikeout leaders of all time hunting while giving the Tigers valuable innings. Because when we're talking about these leaderboards, more often than not, when guys get to this age, we are more watching out of more remembering who they were.
Yeah.
Rather than who they are now. But who 42-year-old Justin Verlander is right now is still a valuable pitcher on the market.
Yep.
Now, speaking about another valuable pitcher on the market, recent reporting from Bob Nightingale, which came out today, talked about 4 teams that are showing the most interest in Zac Gallen, the big fish still left in free agency. And those teams are the Baltimore Orioles, the Chicago Cubs, the San Diego Padres, and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, to me, the name that pops out is the Baltimore Orioles. It does feel like we all thought they were going to go with Fromber, but instead he signs with the Detroit Tigers. I remember about a week and a half ago when we brought up both of these guys, I actually had Fromber going to Baltimore and Gallen going to Detroit. So I guess I'll flip-flop and say Gallen should go to Baltimore. However, when I look at the remaining teams, I think to myself, Arizona could certainly use another starter. San Diego could certainly use another starter. And I'm sure the Chicago is just kind of thinking, well, we could add him if it's the right price. I would probably place the Cubs 4th just because it feels like their rotation is much more solidified than the remaining 3. And now I don't mean to disrespect the Orioles. Like, the Orioles technically have a solidified rotation, but with a rotation headlined by Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish and Shane Baz, it's like guys we don't know exactly what we're going to get. Bradish, I feel confident as long as he's healthy, but Rogers, you aren't really sure. Baz has a lot of intrigue, but at the end of the day, right, his career ERA is low to mid 4s. So what exactly are you going to get? Gallen, at the bare minimum, I think you're going to get innings. And I think he's probably closer to a 4 ERA rather than the high 4s that he showed last year or the mid 3s that he's shown in the previous seasons. But it just brings in a guy that makes the rotation, at least to me, feel a lot safer, which I think they need right now.
100%. And, Gallen was better down the stretch. It wasn't great, but it was better. And that's why you started to hear some, potential of teams maybe wanting to go trade for him. Ultimately, that didn't end up happening. But yeah, to your point, I mean, through all of the history of like injury concern around Gallen, he threw 210 innings in 2023. It was a little bit less, obviously, in 24, 148 innings, but they gave you 192 last year, which I think goes a long way. Arizona is a very tough place to pitch. And I think that sometimes gets overlooked because it's not Coors or, Great American Ballpark, but it's right there. And it's not an easy place to pitch. So I think that is worth noting.
You know why I think people think that? It's because the fences are so far back. It's easy. It's not as easy to hit home runs, but that doesn't necessarily make it a pitcher's park because the outfield is so vast and it gets so hot in there
It carries, man.
If anyone listening has played baseball, even in their early years, you remember what it felt like to play potentially in 100-degree heat, feel that humidity, how hard it is to grip the baseball when these guys spinning. I mean, why do you think we had sticky stuff? So there's additional factors into pitching in Chase Field rather than just, oh, well, it's not that hard or it's not that easy to hit home runs, so that must make it easier for pitchers. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's just mostly just the fact too that I think the ball, for whatever reason, just really flies out there. And then yeah, you mentioned a lot of space. I think it's a tough spot for guys to throw. So if you assume that the numbers improve a little bit, he could be an upgrade for a lot of teams. I think the Diamondbacks are number 2. I think they need him the most. The Padres are probably number 1. Right now they're slated to have Randy Vasquez and JP Sears, in their rotation. And, that's also on the back of, Joe Musgrove potentially being able to hold down the 3 spot, but he hasn't been healthy, right? We didn't even see him last year. So you already have a question mark at number 3, and then 4 and 5 are not guys that get you overly excited. I think the Padres are the team that needs him the most, but again, I thought the Padres had no money to spend like $20 million ago. So I don't know what their situation is. And then I just think the familiarity with the Diamondbacks and just where the Diamondbacks are at, like this is still a team that's clearly trying to win now. They opt to hold on to Marte. And even if they did make a Marte move, it wasn't going to be one that signals rebuild. It was going to be one that still allows them to be competitive this year and just maybe with a little bit more runway. I think it's a little bit tighter here where I think at that point you're probably bumping out like Erod and having him in this like, swingman depth type of role there. But still, I think I feel pretty good about that. I think the most clear cut where you just have no problem plugging and playing is the Padres though right now. And yeah. If they have the money, he would be arguably their number 3.
I don't mean to, I know you didn't prepare any of this, but I just think that there's the potential for another mystery team to come into this conversation outside of the 4 that Bob Nightingale named. Is there any team just at the top of mind that you think could use a starter like Gallen? Because, when I think, I think the Mets should be involved here.
How about the Braves?
I think the Phillies. I think the Braves. I think there's a lot of teams that should be showing interest. So when I looked at those 4, I thought to myself, is that it? I would expect 8 to 10 teams to be in on this.
Yeah, I think that the draft pick attached makes it interesting because if he goes for over $50 million, if the deal's over $50 million, that's obviously going to make teams disincentivized to do it. And so I think that's where you'll see a lot more teams get involved, especially teams like the Braves and the Cubs when there may not be the comp pick attached because it's going to be a 1-year deal or something like that, or 2 years at a lower number than $50 million. I think the Braves make a lot of sense with the news about Schwellenbach, probably starting the season on the 60-day IL. That's a guy that probably, you still don't know what you're going to get from Strider for sure. Like that might be as good of a fit as any. And I think the Braves are going to be scrambling a little bit here now that they know that Schwellenbach isn't going to be available for the first couple months of the season. So I think the Braves fit the best, Bassett or Gallen. I think Gallen gives you more upside, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them swoop in here if the price is right. We always see them kind of swoop in and make that late signing, right? When the pro farm market just didn't materialize the way that they thought. Sometimes with the Kim market not materializing the way that maybe he would have thought. I think that we see them sometimes, grab onto these short-term deals.
And that's why I think it's going to be Bassett for the Braves, because I think they're going to wait and wait and wait. And you'll see in a week or so, the Braves picked up Chris Bassett on a 2-year deal, and it's not that expensive. How did they do that? But that's the kind of deals that the Braves make. For Gallen, a part of me wants it to be the Orioles, but another part of me doesn't think that they do it. I'm going to go with the Padres because I think Preller wants to make one move, and I think this is it. And I think he needs him. And my final prediction would be the Padres.
I think back to Arizona is my best guess. I think there's a familiarity there, the comfort, and they held him through the deadline. This is a team that wants to try to run it back and make a push. Merrill Kelly's back, and I just don't know how much I trust Soroka. I mean, you got to roll Fott out there. You extended him, but Erod as well. Like he could be a guy that you're just DFAing at some point if it looks as bad as it possibly could. So I think it's a good fit for him to just stay there and try to prove it. But again, not the best place to pitch.
And Salfrank, who was potentially going to be their closer this year, just went down with an arm injury. I think he might be out for the entirety of the
shoulder surgery.
Season.
Yeah.
So again, they need pitching and they need it bad.
Yep.
I could totally understand them going back to Gallen, but I don't know. I feel like Preller ain't done yet. We will see. Before we get into the top 20 corner outfielders, 20 through 11, should we spend about 2 hours on Sugano to the Rockies? Think about it. He only gave up 33 home runs last year.
So you think he gives up more?
I don't think he gives up less.
Yeah. What's the over-under on homers for Tomoyuki Sugano at Coors Field?
We were talking about a pre-record. I was thinking that he could lead Major League Baseball in losses. I wish that was a category on BetMGM that I could bet into, because I think he could potentially go 4-21 next year. Kyle Freeland led Major League Baseball in losses at 17. I think Sugano could beat that, because one thing about Sugano is he's going to go 5 or 6 innings. How good are those innings going to be? I'm not sure, but Podcast P is here to give us his take on Sugano to the Rockies.
I think one of the most interesting things about the 33 homers is the names he allowed the homers to. Just to briefly go over some of them that are notable in alphabetical order: Roman Anthony, Mookie Betts, Byron Buxton, Rafael Devers, Jarren Duran, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Bobby Witt, Stanton, Seager, James Wood. He was basically just propping up all these all-star seasons, and I really appreciate it. And one little small thing, do you think Sugano how many home runs over under 2.5 does Sugano allow that surpass this?
Oh, this is a highlight of Jesus Sanchez going yabo at Coors Field into the third deck, way up there, the Coors light sign. The only player that I've seen go up there was Shohei Ohtani in batting practice for the home run derby. And then Jesus Sanchez did it in a game. I'm going to take, I think it's a good line. I'm saying 2 get up there. And we got to understand that you only have one in like the history of Coors Field that's gotten up there. And I'm still doubling that, but I have to be on the under.
I have like an odd question. Okay. So the longest home run of the StatCast era is 505 feet, I'm pretty sure. What do you think is more likely? Tomoyuki Sugano allowing a home run that breaks the StatCast record for longest home run hit, or Chandler Simpson hitting a ball over the fence?
Are we assholes, Aram? Is this like a mean segment that we're
this
doing?
kind of?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think this is a really interesting question.
All right, Aram, give us your answer then.
I think Chandler Simpson goes deep this year.
I think he could air pull one out.
I think he's gonna golf one out in like Great American Ballpark, and he's gonna get it this year. I do believe it. So I'm gonna go with, or at like Yankee Stadium. Like, I don't even know if they play at Great American Ballpark, but at Yankee Stadium where it just bounces off the edge of the wall and gets over like all of the inside out homers Jeter hit.
Judge is robbing that though.
Yeah, that's the tough part. He might be playing so far in though. I don't know. Where do you play Chandler Simpson? I don't know.
Selfishly, I hope Chandler Simpson has like a 3.5 WAR season with 0 homers. I think it would be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know if when the last time anyone's done that is. Sugano allowed a 116 mile per hour homer to James Wood, but I'm going to go with Chandler Simpson homer.
Okay, Peter, what are you taking?
I'll fade Sugano even more. I'll be on the other side of that one, even though I do. You know what? I'm so confident in Sugano doing that. But I still think Chandler Simpson goes yard once. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Because Sugano, like, I've challenged him to a 1v1.
And
he's never responded.
Let me get a hits. Never responded. Is he scared?
You know why? He's probably laughing to the bank, dude. He's almost at 20 million career earnings through 2 years now.
The guy's making bank listening to losers like us just trash him on a baseball podcast. Like, whatever.
13 million last year. 13 million last year. And then after the year he had, 5+ million this year. I'm sure there's some incentives in there. Hopefully they're just for innings pitched, and maybe he gets to 20 mil after this year.
Yeah, he's probably poolside right now, and I'm on a podcast talking about him, and he's making millions and millions of dollars. So good for you,
He's probably buying a sick pad in Denver.
Sick
And
pad in Denver.
yeah, so shout out to Tomoyuki Sugano.
Yeah,
I'm rooting
shout
for him. Maybe something crazy happens.
I might be wagering on the Colorado Rockies this season from a betting perspective.
I mean, this is a good signing for them. Like, just to have big league pitchers who on the road can also eat innings and not guys that you're just like stopgaps who absolutely stink. He's not good.
I think Dolander's going to be better. I think Freeland is Freeland, right? I think he's going to pitch to a mid-4s ERA, and you bring in Sugano, and Feltner's still a pretty solid pitcher. Like, it's not that bad of a team. I mean,
you need guys who aren't going
to
walk guys as well and compound the issue. Like, damage is going to happen, but Sugano doesn't walk guys, the 5% walk rate. So if you're going to get beat up, at least do it with nobody on base. And I think Sugano is going to mostly do that. Unless it's singles and stuff. So I like the idea of having a low walk guy out there as well.
All right. After the riveting conversation about Tomoyuki Sugano and what's ahead for the Colorado Rockies, now I think it's time to break into the top 20 corner outfielders in Major League Baseball. Again, another reminder, this is 20 through 11. But before that, Podcast P, can I get a quick whoosh? The top 20 corner outfielders in Major League Baseball. We're going to rank them all. And again, just another reminder to everybody listening, this is part 1. On Thursday, we're going to finish part 2 with 10 through 1. And another reminder, this is voted on by a panel of 8 just baseball people, right? Aram, Jack, and I, we find our mean score with 5 other writers, including Podcast P, and that's our final ranking. So all of us have a different top 20 from each other, but the end rankings is the average score of all 8 panelists. And again, thank you to all of you watching us here live on YouTube. The best way to support the YouTube live streams, we are live, so we can't cut any of that. Make sure to press the like button and hit that big red subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on audio, best way to support is to leave a 5-star review wherever you get your pods. All right, we're not doing honorable mentions because we don't think we need to when we're ranking top 20 anyway. These are left fielders and right fielders. So I want to start off with number 20, which is Taylor Ward, the new Baltimore Oriole. Now, I already see a theme here, and it's the same theme that I have been seeing throughout these rankings, is guys like Taylor Ward fall down the rankings because they're not 24 years old. They didn't put together an incredible 110 game sample, and now we have them as the 11th best corner outfielder in Major League Baseball. It's just Taylor Ward, who hit 36 home runs last year, drove in over 100, and put up a 792 OPS, 2.5 win player. And he's been that every single year. And we're hoping that some of these young guys can become what Taylor Ward has been over the last 4 seasons. Why is he so low? I personally ranked him at number 17. Everyone else was in the 20 to 19 range, and you were the low man at 21. Are you out on Taylor Ward by ranking him 4 spots behind me, and I'm high on him?
36 homers is awesome stuff. He walked more than he ever has in a full season. The other crazy part, though, is we only have like 3 full seasons to call from here. 2022 was the first year where he played over 100 games after parts of 4 years where he had played anywhere from 20 to 65 games. Then 2023, he was limited to 97 games. And then the last 2 years, we've got a full slate, 156 games, 157 games. And in back-to-back years, Ward has been awesome. You could argue that, because of the availability, like on a per game basis, he was better in 2022, but because he played the full season, this was the best season of his career. And big reason why, the Orioles targeted him. He's not a very good defender, but it doesn't matter when you hit 36 bombs. And I think that's the big case. I didn't have like any opinion, I guess. I'm trying to figure out like who the players were that you ranked behind. Yeah, that allowed him to be higher, because I'm looking at the immediate guys, and the immediate guys ahead of him are mostly either vets or young guys that are just too good to justify pushing back.
I'll give you an example, and this is what I felt happens in a lot of our rankings, is a guy like Dalen Lyle, who came up last year, had an incredible cup of coffee, really young guy, hard to know what to expect from him. You ranked him 1 spot higher than Taylor Ward. I feel like if Dalen Lyle next year puts up a 2.9 F-WAR type season, it'll be a fantastic year for Dalen Lyle. And that's what Taylor Ward does every year. And we still don't know exactly who Dalen Lyle is. How could we when he's only had a limited number of games?
Yeah, that's fair. You know, and it's not like I would counter you if Lyle was playing good defense. He sucked out there last year. So I think Lyle is going to hit, and but to your point, like he's got to continue to do it. I'm uber bullish on him as a hitter, but to your point, from a WAR perspective, like he wasn't good in the corner either. So he's got to give you a lot more. I could totally hear that. I think maybe we're a little bit numb to what, Ward has done and has become. And I think part of the reason why, again, the trade was weird, but I think the Orioles feel very confident that Taylor Ward's going to give him 30 plus homers this year. And I think they have a lot of reason to feel that way.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel two completely different ways about Taylor Ward. I hated the trade because I just don't think that
for 1 year of him is like,
for 1 year of Taylor Ward, I think that's an objectively bad move. Now, I think the only way that goes well is if Grayson Rodriguez gets hurt. And congratulations. Maybe you might be right, but Grayson Rodriguez seems like he's going to be ready for opening day. I said this at the time, and I still think that was a bad move by Mike Elias. At the same time, I could love what they're getting with Taylor Ward.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they're likely getting 30 plus home runs next year with a 770 OPS and a 2.5 win season.
Yep.
And you might think, well, at Camden Yards for a right-handed bat, it's a little difficult because the fences are so far back in left field. The good thing about Taylor Ward is he sprays the ball to all fields. 14 of his 36 home runs last year were either to center field or to right field. And if he played all of his games last year at Camden Yards, Baseball Savant tells us he would have hit 33 home runs. So I don't think he's going to see a downturn in power. And I actually think that he could cut down the strikeout rate from the previous season. Because when you look at under the hood, you don't see a high chase rate at all. You actually see borderline elite of his ability not to go outside of the zone and chase bad pitches. He doesn't whiff all that much, but he struck out at a 26% rate. I think that's a sample that I think goes back down to likely his career strikeout rate, which is near 23%. So if you got that with a 10% walk rate and 30 home runs, and yes, not great defense, it's a damn good player.
Yeah.
And I just feel good about that because I've seen it a lot. And that's the difference in our rankings. It's like the guys that everybody has takes on, they want to push higher. But guys like Taylor Ward, next up on our list, Ian Happ at number 19. Like Ian Happ is just freaking solid every single year, and people forget about him. 23.
Yeah, Happ was an easy one for me, and I think by that rationale, maybe Ward should have been a little bit easier, although they're 2 spots apart. Happ, you're getting the defense that just is consistently solid, and then for him, it's like he might be the epitome of exactly what you are going to get year in and year out, like exactly.
Yep.
Even last year maybe was slightly below what we've become accustomed to, but then you look at the underlying numbers and it really points towards him he probably should have put up exactly what we were used to. Maybe it was a little unlucky for once. I mean, it's 3.3 to 3.7 WAR for 3 straight years. And then last year, again, if he was closer to the ex-WOBA, and normally he is pretty close in those 2 regards, he doesn't usually underperform it. He would have been right there as a 3-win season again. He's a solid enough defender. He makes all the plays he needs to make. He walks. He's going to hit you 20 plus, up to 25. And he's just a switch hitter. Is a well-rounded player.
Yeah, I was the high guy in Ian Happ. I had him at 16. You had him at 19, and it was a lot of 20s scattered across the board. I just felt like he's another guy where he's a pretty damn good bet to be a 3-win player. And I think the reason he falls a little bit is people get bored of these type of players, right? Especially when they're not elite at anything, but they're good at everything. Like you're not turning on a Cubs game to watch Ian Happ. You're turning on a Cubs game to watch Pete Crow Armstrong. Last year, you were probably watching a lot of Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, Kyle Tucker, but then Ian Happ is just in the middle of the lineup being a 3-win player, and any team would love to have a guy like this. And with a lot of younger guys on this list, we're thinking, can they be a 3-win player? Ian Happ is a 3-win player. And unless proven otherwise, and there's nothing in the data that makes me think, oh, here comes the hill. here he goes falling. That's why I was a little bit higher on Ian Happ. But just to recap his stats last year, it was much of the same. 23 bombs. He's hit 20 plus home runs in, let's see, 4 of the last 5 seasons. It was a 762 OPS. He's been above 750 in each of the last 5 seasons. Actually, scratch that. Every single season of his career, he has been above a 750 OPS. High OBP at 342, decent slugging percentage at 420. There's really nothing not to like about Ian Happ. I get it. There's not a lot to love. But this is a guy you put your head on the pillow and say, damn good ball player.
Yeah.
And I want a damn good ball player.
And a guy that, I think people were talking about him like, oh, man, I think Cubs fans are like, oh, we're going to have Owen Casey and maybe Ian Happ gets squeezed out. Now with their situation, it looks like a guy that you maybe actually bring back or negotiate an extension with at some point this season because of what you're getting and the fact that, I don't know if I love any immediate options behind him. So I think he's a guy that's going to end up being a Cub for even longer. And you start to wonder, maybe you just have him be a Cub his entire career and he can go down as, again, nothing sexy, but when you look back at like year 12 and 13 and he's been a Cub the whole time, he could end up going down as one of the better Cubs in the last several decades. So I hope they bring him back. And I think he'll be one of those guys that if he's there for, a handful more years towards the back end, people are going to really appreciate, and not that Cubs fans don't already, but really appreciate, what he's been for that team. And really after the World Series and through some rough days and then better days more recently, one of the only consistent faces they've had since 2017.
You know who Ian Happ is going to be? When we have grandkids and they're on like hologram version of TikTok or whatever it is, it's going to be those like TikToks where you see ball knowledge and it's a bunch of comments, people listing old players that people forgot about. Yeah. Ian Happ is going to be a big name in that comment section. And our grandkids are going to look up and say on Baseball Reference squared or whatever it is in 70 years, whoa, Ian Happ was a 40-win player. Yeah. Like, why does nobody talk about him? And then me with my cane, I'm going to be smacking it against the ground and be like, in the 2026 offseason, everybody's ranking him outside of the top 20. This guy's a 3-win player every year.
It's a good ball player. He played the game the right way.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it.
Another 3-win player every single year that nobody cares about anymore is Brandon Nimmo of the Texas Rangers coming in. Yawn. Why? Why yawn? Over the last four seasons. No. Let's go back to 2021. In 92 games, he was a 3-win player. In 2022, he was a 5.5-win player. In 2023, he was a 4-win player. In 2024, 3-win player. 2025, 3-win player. He's been a well above average bat by WRC plus. It was 25 home runs last year, a career high for him. It was 13 stolen bases, one of his career highs outside of 2024, where it was 23 bombs and 15 stolen bases. He hit 262 last year. It's a 114 WRC plus. This is Brandon Nimmo in his age 32 season with 28 career F4 and a career 126 WRC plus. What am I missing here? Why is he outside of the top 20 for some? Like, Leo,
I don't know. I think that's indefensible. I don't think he should be outside of the top 20. I had him at 18 for the record. He's also played through like injuries and stuff. And it's 151 games minimum the last 4 years. I think he's got like plantar fasciitis. He had like lower body issues. I'm sure Fink could give us every single ailment that Nimmo had last year, but I know he was playing through stuff. And guess what? That guy would never take a day off the eye wash. He is going to sprint to first base on the walk, no matter how bad the plantar fasciitis is.
Have you seen him? He hasn't been sprinting. I saw him in the second half. I was watching a lot of Mets games, and I'm like, it's a run. He's running to first.
Does Savant have the average home to first time on walks? Is that declining? Because then I might drop him out of the top.
I think he's, instead of 100th percentile, he's like 96th percentile.
He was guaranteed 100th percentile.
Actually, the more I think about it, I've watched a lot of baseball. Still, nobody runs.
Nobody's moving faster than that. Nobody.
Yeah. So it's still 100th percentile. It's just less.
He's just lessening his own bar. 25 homers. That's what you want to see now, right? He's not going to be as fast as his game ages. He's to a corner, slug a little bit more, and that's what he did. So I'm hoping he can continue to lean into that. But, after a 399 slug in 24, back up to 436 is great. And it's right on par with his career average. Let's see if he can lean into that a little bit more. I think there's some concerns in the underlying. I know Peyton just put up the Savant page.
The most fine profile ever.
it's by definition fine, but fine place, especially when your average EV is as high as it is and your hard hit rate's as high as it is. Like, those are the two things that are going to extrapolate everything else being darn near average. And I think they do you a little dirty on Savant, where like if you're 50th percentile, it really skews blue. Maybe there's an explanation for that. It should maybe. What's a more neutral, warmish color we can have?
I think orange would be great.
I think another problem too with Savant over the years is that exit velocities have kind of skewed up over the years, and so have barrel rates and stuff. So like a barrel rate that would have been 80th percentile in like 2017 is now like 60th. So like compared to other players, it may look bad, but in terms of impacting the ball, it's good. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bit,
No, that makes sense. And you see a guy who maybe doesn't impact the ball as much, and his Savant looks like crap because it's blue everywhere. But then you're like, this guy's still a good player. And like when you look at Brandon Nimmo's profile, I'm like, yeah, you're not elite at anything, but you're not bad at anything either. Like, you're not even a terrible defender. I know Dave Stearns wanted to improve run prevention, and he did by getting in Marcus Semien, but it wasn't because Brandon Nimmo was some massive hole out there in left field. I'm not here to tell you that he's any good. But at the end of the day, how many people remember their favorite player who's playing in the corner outfield for their defense? You remember them because they can hit. And at the end of the day, Brandon Nimmo is a 115 WRC plus guy with 25 home runs who posts 50% hard hit rates, which means half of his batted balls are 95 miles an hour or harder. My last question to you, Aram, is: are you ageist? Does the guy turn 30 and you forget who he is?
He's gonna be 33.
Unless he's Freddie Freeman, and then you tell me he should be ranked the number one first baseman.
Well, yeah, you think Freddie Freeman needs a cane. So I think there's just some outfielders, the young guys, that I'm really excited about for sure. But to your point, like this is one of baseball's steadiest players, and the swing decisions are really good. And I think that only helps his case too. So I think Nimmo is going to be a good pickup for the Rangers, and I think he's going to be a big help this year for him.
Next up on our top 20 corner outfielders list is Wilyer Abreu. Wilyer Abreu of the Boston Red Sox last season, /247, 317, 469 slug to give him a 786 OPS. He hit 22 home runs. He stole 6 bases, and he posted a 2.4 FWAR. Only played in 115 games last year, and a big reason why is the Red Sox shelter him against left-handed pitching.
And a calf strain.
And a calf strain. Yes, of course. But he played about 130 games a year before. So like 15 games out for a calf strain, but he wasn't playing every day because he wasn't playing all the time against lefties. And over the last couple of seasons, it's been an OPS under 700 against lefties. The good thing is it's an OPS over 800 against righties, and he's going to face righties predominantly, and it's an elite glove in the corner. But again, I go back to my original point. We're seeing a 3.1 FWAR, a 2.4, and we're putting him over guys who are better than that over the last 5 seasons. And now we're finally going to get to see, because it was reported earlier today, that not only is Garrett Crochet going to be the opening day starter, and Alex Cora had a funny line where he's like, let's just get this shit over with, which I love. It's like so obviously Garrett Crochet putting in the big oink. But that Wilyer Abreu, welcome to Leftyville. You're facing lefties this year. And I am interested to see what his OPS looks like at the end of the season, now playing every single day. I still think the defense is elite. I think the power is going to be there. I think he's really going to hit righties. But again, I ranked him lower than all of the guys that we have mentioned so far, because I feel pretty confident about what we're going to get for a lot of these 32-year-olds, not 35-year-olds, 32-year-olds who are perpetually putting up 3-win seasons when Wilyer didn't even do it last year. And now we're going to find out how he does against lefties. We have found out what the rest of these guys have been doing for the last 5 years, and it's as good as Abreu, if not better.
Yeah, I think he was on pace to be right there, right? If he didn't miss about a month with the injury, and then you also you see him play. If he's facing lefties more, as long as he isn't absolutely putrid, he's going to accumulate WAR off of the defense. It was better this past year at the big league level, just off of the solid swing decisions left on left. It was a 676 OPS in 68 plate appearances. So like if he can maintain that left on left, he's going to be accumulating WAR. In those starts, I think you can pretty much account for him being a 3-win player back-to-back years because he was better in a lot of capacities last year. Besides just being available for those 17 games, he had 7 more homers in 17 less games. He struck out 4% less. He walked 1% more. I would still like to see him hit for a little bit more average, but I mean, to see that uptick in the home run department, see him slugging more. He's, like you said, still going to defend. And, now he's going to be on the field more consistently. I think Williers just, even though you maybe don't have the proof of concept as much as some of these other guys, I do think you feel pretty damn good that he's going to be 3-win player next year. And I think the floor is so high with the defense too.
I agree. And I think that's the best point for Willie Abreu. And that's why, I ranked him when we're looking at our rankings. I ranked Willie Abreu 20th. You ranked him 16. There was a lot of 15s and 17s across the board. My rankings are just going to look different than pretty much everybody else's, which is fun. But yeah, I was just a little bit lower because I don't know what it looks like against lefties. Do I think that he'll be able to figure out and put up a 700 OPS? Yeah. It's not all that great, but I think the defense is going to be really strong. And I still think that he's going to hit righties well. I'm a little bit concerned with the amount of whiff, it's not a ton of chase, but he's a guy who's probably going to strike out 25% of the time. Still a very good player. I just feel better about the 3 guys that we've named so far, considering we don't really have a full sample of him hitting lefties over a full season. But
what's funny,
fair,
though?
He is the best defender out of all of them.
Yeah, and that does help. Ian Happ, as a right-handed hitter last year, had a 677 OPS, which is kind of wild. Actually, no, that was including the postseason, 691. But
better than Willier.
If he could just hang around there, he's going to be in a really good spot. And I don't think that's too much to ask. But to your point, we'll see how he does. I think he took a step in the right direction in limited action last year in those left-on-left matchups. And on base for 30-plus homers.
Yeah, true. And the thing is with Ian Happ as well, it was a 718 OPS last year. There's just a track record of it versus no real track record. What are we going to get? And I still think that we're going to get potentially a 3-win player, and that's why I still ranked him in my top 20. I'm just not as sold as the other guys. All right, next up is another Cub, Seiya Suzuki. And I love Seiya Suzuki. I ranked him really, really high. It's an OPS over 800 every single year. And again, it was last year. This time, 32 jacks, a 245 batting average, a 326 OBP, a 478 slug, for an 804 OPS. And yes, the defense is not very good. And by not very good, I mean it's borderline putrid. But he still put up a 2.6 FWAR. It was a 3.5 the year before. It was a 3 last year. And we talked about this for right-handed bats when we were talking about Alex Bregman and how the adjustment might be tough. We brought it up with Isak Paredes, that when you look at Baseball Savant, the second hardest park to hit in for right-handed bats is Wrigley. When you look at Seiya's home road splits year in and year out, it's always an 870 OPS on the road and a 790 OPS at home. I think it's wildly impressive that he could put up 30 home run seasons in Chicago with how tough it is to hit at Wrigley for a right-handed bat. When I'm looking at the rankings here, I had Seiya as my 10th best corner outfielder. And you had him at 17. Everyone else was pretty much aligned 16 or 17. I think this is one of the best bats on this list. And I get it. The outfield defense is not good at all. It is not good at all. But if I want one guy and I have to sacrifice, right, I'm going bad defense versus average defense or a bat that I feel way better with, I'm going with Seiya. I think if you took him out of Wrigley, this is a guy who could put up 140 WRC plus seasons. He's doing that consistently in Wrigley at a 130 rate. It's 30% better than league average. This guy rakes.
My concern is if he's defending a lot, that value is gonna tank, at least from a WAR perspective, right? Like he played 414 innings in the outfield this past year, and he was -5 defensive runs saved. If he plays, unless he gets better,
Better than -6 though. Admit that.
It is better. Imagine it's it's a cumulative stat. So like it's going to accumulate. That could be, he could be the worst defensive outfielder in Major League Baseball next year. So my question is,
have you seen the Angels outfield right now with Soler and those guys out there?
Yeah, if Soler's out there every day, that might be worse.
Just
but he's
please
going to be one of the worst.
Yes, that's probably true.
Is the bat being 30% above average enough to offset being the glove being 80% below average? And maybe it is. I mean, if it's 32, maybe, but I bet he has to hit 30 plus bombs, I feel like, to be in that range.
Let me give you an example. 2024, he hit 21 home runs and stole 16 bags. He hit 283, 366, 482 for 137 WRC plus. He was a 3.5 win player. The year before, he had 20 home runs, 127 WRC plus, 3.1 win player. Now the defense, I mean, he was -11 defensive value in 24. He's -13 in 2025. He's going to be a really bad defender. But if it's a 130 WRC plus, which is basically his career average, he's going to hit too much to not be a 3-win player, even if the defense continues to be terrible. Yeah, and if, again, it's not horrible. Let's say it's well below average. He can be a 4-win player, just like he's been close to in 2024.
Yeah, I guess he's coming off a year where 2.5, and he DH'd 102 games. So he got one start in center, which is crazy. Can he improve on? I still think he could maybe improve on the defense a little bit. If they run him through the DH spot a little bit, it can help. I think bat wise, yeah. I mean, he's a monster. And I do think the ballpark aspect is an interesting component too, because you look at some of the underlying batted ball data, it's really impressive. I would just like to see that on base, get closer to the 350 range that we saw in the 360 range the 2 years prior, because if he combines that with the slug, then yeah, I think we're going to see a massive year from him. So it's going to be fun to see. And maybe he puts it all together this year.
And yeah, I'm probably too bullish at 10. I just love the bat. I think the bat is prolific. And I love this comment from Mike G15. PCA can stand in right center and Ian Happ in left center, and then say I could just chill down the right field line.
That's what we do on like my men's league softball team with like our old corner outfielders. So it might not be a bad idea.
That would still be a better defensive outfield than most.
So he should get like some credit, some secondary credit for PCA's like outs above average, right? Just kick him a couple.
That's a narrative that doesn't help my argument, so I'd rather just move on to the next guy.
Okay.
All right, at number 15 on the top 20 corner outfielders list, Tyler Soderstrom, money man, just signed a big extension with the Sacramento A's, and last year he was awesome. 25 jacks, 8 steals, /276, 346, 474 to give him an 820 OPS, and he put up a 3.4 FWAR. The projections for him, is the first time I'm bringing it up, are fascinating because none of them have him getting even close to what he was in 2025.
That's crazy to me.
The low is a 1.3 FWAR and a 108 WRC plus, and the high, and that comes to us from Zips. The high is from Oopsie, which is another Fangraphs projection system. 114 WRC plus, 2.7 FWAR. I had him ranked 19th. I'm not going to say that those projections are going to come through. I would still side with the Oopsie projection. But again, it's another guy at age 24 who's going into his second season. And how many times do we see sophomore slumps and guys have to adjust? But you are very bullish on Tyler Soderstrom.
This one I'm not budging on, because not only did he rake, and I can understand that maybe he doesn't match the 125 WRC plus, but I think he will. The guy came up as a catcher. Like in his first big league stint, he was catching. Then he was playing first. And he goes to the outfield this past year, and he gives you 10 defensive runs saved in 167 and 2/3 innings and 5 outs above average.
Is that
Gold
real?
Glove
Is
caliber
that
defense.
real? Like, is that what we should expect? Because I saw those numbers and I'm like, wow, that was awesome in 2025. Is that going to be a thing? I have no idea.
I think it clearly is. And Brent Rooker was gushing about the improvements and how quickly he became a great defender out there. And it's like, that was year one after like adjusting to, trying to prove you could be a catcher, then adjusting to first base. And then now they throw you in the outfield and you're immediately that good. How good is this guy going to be in year two? Even if it's the same, that's really elevates the floor. And then, he's going to hit homers, especially in that environment. He's going to hit homers.
Cool thing about Soderstrom, real quick, you'd expect his numbers to be elevated because he was playing a lot of his games in a bandbox last year in Sacramento. Better OPS on the road than he had at home.
That almost helps his case.
I agree. I put him at 19. I think there's a lot of great corner outfielders. I actually am less concerned about the bat, more concerned about the defense, because it's not like this guy is a speed demon, right? When you're looking at arm strength value on Baseball Savant, they aren't telling us he has that great of an arm. And I haven't seen a ton of like throw home.
No, he's got an 88th percentile arm strength, but
I think it was maybe arm value or something.
Arm value,
26 percentile. Like, again, I just don't know what he is as a defender, but I feel like he's a 120 WRC plus guy with 20 to 25 home runs. I just don't know what the war is going to be because I have no idea if he can replicate that defense again. You said it yourself, catcher moving out there for the first time.
What a Gold Glove!
I know. We've heard all these incredible stories about his ability to learn that so quickly. Maybe he is. I got to see it again.
He had 11. I don't know. How do they do the fielding run or the arm value? He had 11 outfield assists.
I think it's one guy just being like playing with colors.
I don't understand. He had 11 outfield assists. This was the most by an athletics player since 2015.
Podcast P, you're here to tell me I'm wrong about Tyler Soderstrom or to tell Arm he's too high?
It's more to tell you you're wrong, but not in a, but I just want to add context. I think a thing with Soderstrom, and I understand your point about, players going through a sophomore slump and stuff on that front, but Soderstrom already went through that. 2023, he came up in the bigs and was horrific. And then he came back in 2024 and, showed some really good improvements. He made a pretty stark swing change. He went to a toe tap, changed his hand positioning a bit. And on the defensive front, he grades out not only above average in the metrics, but he's above average in reaction, burst. He has good routes. He has good jumps. And in terms of percentage of catches made with a sub 90% catch probability, he executed those plays at a higher clip last year than Cody Bellinger, Jarren Duran, Jackson Merrill, Riley Green, like guys who are pretty good. Oh, Bretton Doyle. I know there's center field in there, but I don't necessarily think there's going to be a massive. I do think he's a good defender. He's clearly athletic. And I think the more experience there is going to help him. And since he already went through big league struggles and then found success, I don't see further struggles happening because he's young.
That wasn't my point, that just further struggles are going to happen because he's young. And I disagree I disagree with the sentiment of that he's gone through a lot of things. I don't view 40 game sample in 23 and a 60 game sample in 24 as going through an entire season. Like, what I view sometimes as a sophomore slump is like after you've played a full 162, right? You played 158 games last year. I feel like that's really kind of the big time start of your big league career. And playing that many games is just really difficult. Like, this sport of baseball is so hard. Is he able to put up elite defensive metrics again? If he is, then he will be a 3.5 win player. I feel good about the bat. I feel good about projecting him for a 115 to 120 WRC plus with 25 home runs. I feel good about that. I just don't know what the war is going to look like because I don't know if he can replicate that defensive success again. And again, it's not all based on, his sophomore slump, and that means he's going to get worse defensively. This is just about a catcher transitioning to left field, putting up elite defensive metrics without super loud tools, making me think if he does it again, I'll just be wrong. There just isn't a big history of guys doing that and just perpetually putting up Gold Glove elite defensive metrics, which again, what led to his 3.5 win season.
I guess how often does a guy do that in his first full year, become a Gold Glove caliber defender, and then just regress defensively?
I'm not even talking about regressing to like bad. If he's not elite, let's say he's well above average. Let's say it's 6 defensive runs saved and 3 outs above average, and he's still a solid defender. If he takes a bit of a step back offensively, he might not be a 3-win player.
He would be
probably like 2.7.
Yeah, probably right around there. I think the glove's going to be close. And then that high-end could also get better. You know, I think
it could.
He finished the year really strong. I do think there's a lot of validity to being in the bigs for a decent chunk, struggling, getting sent down, working through it, getting back up to the bigs, struggling, getting sent back down, getting back up to the bigs, and then succeeding. I do think that is, even if it's not full 162, pretty tumultuous.
I agree.
And then, but I hear you. Like, we don't know how, especially the metrics, they can be finicky. Yep. I will say my final point on Soderstrom, final 70 games of the season, this dude at 307, 362, 537, good for 900 OPS. The one thing that I think may help him too is that he destroys lefties over the final stretch. He was horrible in the beginning, and then something clicked, and he just started destroying lefties down the stretch. His final 40 games against lefties at 324 with a 937 OPS. And that lineup, he's going to be pretty well insulated. He's going to drive in a lot of runs. He's not even the first guy you're worried about. He might be what guy would he be in your ranking of who you're worried about in that lineup? Third.
I think he edges out Wilson to me.
Does he edge out Langeliers? Did we skip him?
Oh, a good point. I would say probably
breaks.
Good point. I would say probably. Yeah.
I think he's going to be like so comfortably insulated that I think he's going to copy paste it. But again, I understand. It's his first.
Can I give you a really interesting note on Soderstrom? And I'd be curious to dive into this further because this is really interesting to me. 2025, 470 slug versus fastballs, 470 slug versus breaking balls, 470 slug against off speed.
He's just a really sound hitter.
How many guys are doing like this is even like a rebuttal to Peter. I'm just saying in general, like how many hitters are that even across the board against every pitch type? That's a research thing I have to dive into because I might do that after the show. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's really hard to do.
I think he's got such a sound bat. Like I remember he's another guy, Aram, that you were showing me swing videos of him before he even reached the bigs. And it was just like, we were both talking too. And I remember you said this, you were like, I don't even care if he doesn't catch. Like, I just think he's going to hit. And you've been right. Like this is a very sound bat. The problem is I don't think it's got stupid upside. Would you agree with that? Like, do you ever see him being like a 150 WRC plus hitter? I almost think he might run a little bit. Like, I think you know what's so funny? We're going to be ranking Tyler Soderstrom as the 18th best corner outfielder in 6 years when he just does what Ian Happ and Brandon Nimmo have been doing every year. And you're actually going to be lower on him then after he's done it all these times.
And I'm going to be higher on some crazy random player that's not even born yet.
Yes.
It's interesting because I think the max EV is pretty crazy, and the hard hit rate is up there. So like that's the thing that I'm fascinated with, and I don't fully know. I think there's some big time pop in there, but I also think he's found this middle ground where he's as pure hit wise as he has been. You still see the slug, and maybe that's just this middle ground that he settles into. But I mean, the average exit velocity is pretty high. The max was 114, and with a little bit more loft, he could end up, really slugging more, but I don't know if you want to try to do that because clearly what he's doing now is working and pretty sound.
So we got 4 players left. But before that, Podcast P, would you mind giving us one last whoosh? We got a problem. We have a major problem. Next up, at number 14, is Stephen Kwan. What an embarrassment to this company ranking him this low. Last year was 11 home runs. It was 21 stolen bases. It was 272, 330, 374 slug for a 704 OPS. And I know those aren't the sexiest numbers, but when we look at the WAR totals year after year, it was 4.7 in 2022 as a rookie. And that was with 6 home runs. In 2023, he had his sophomore slump, and it was a 3-win season. In 2024, he only played 122 games, but put up a 4.2 FWAR and a 131 WRC+. I think that was a bit of an outlier. That I can understand. Like, I don't think he's a 6-win player, which basically that's what he was on pace for. And then last year, it wasn't all that great. 99 WRC+, but it was still a 3.2 FWAR. Is this not the best bet to put up a 3-win season like of anybody? Like, I ranked him 7. I ranked him as the 7th best corner outfielder because I view him as maybe outside of Luis Arraez, the best bat to ball in baseball. And in terms of corner outfield defense, one of the best as well. He plays every day, runs the bases really well, does all the little things right. Like, he's not that much different than Nico Horner, who we all had as like a top 2-3 second baseman in Major League Baseball. What happened?
He plays every day, and it's a 568 OPS or something like that against left-handed pitching. I think that's definitely an issue.
I feel like Tarek Skubal faced the Guardians 7 times last year. I think that happened.
I can't filter sans Skubal, but I can tell you what he did against Skubal. He actually raised his OPS, 667 OPS against Skubal.
But again, is it fair to say that that's a 1-year sample because the year before it was an 839 OPS against lefties?
Yeah, I don't really know what happened last year. And like, there was clearly this desire to, and I think that kind of started in 24, this desire to just do a little bit more damage, which I appreciate. But I feel like we've been, at 24, I felt like was going to be that launch pad, right? And then just so much steam was let out this past year, and maybe it's just a little bit of the recency bias, but I don't know. It just felt like a frustrating year where he was a guy that almost felt like he should have been platooned. He was really solid against righties, but the defense is great, and maybe a guy that should have been a little bit higher for us. But I don't really know what to expect from him, which is funny because you know what the floor is, and so you can expect what he did last year. But some of the other guys at least can give you hopes for more. So it kind of becomes a floor ceiling thing. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to replicate that rookie season. I hope he does, but I don't know.
I mean, he did replicate it in 2024. He was even better than he was in that rookie season. He just played 122 games.
Maybe he's an every other year guy.
But 3-win players is every other year. Like, it's hard to be a 3-win player, and he's got such a high floor because of the defense and the bat to ball. If he's a 110 WRC plus guy, he's approaching a 4-win season, which is going to be like top 10 among all the corner outfielders. But he's done that in 2 of 4 years. Like, if Stephen Kwan put up this year or 2025, and that was his rookie year, in year 2, Podcast P would come up here and give me stats of why he should be the 3rd best corner outfielder in baseball.
But we've also had 2 years, 2 years where he's been below by 1%, but below league average as well. So it's like, it's this weird Jekyll and Hyde thing that I think is
a 3-win player.
Yeah, fully in those years, basically on the glove. And that is great. I would like that more in center field than a corner where I think, slug and offense is a little bit more premium than defense. It's kind of it's a little bit of the, obviously he's better, but like becomes the second base defense thing, right? Like, okay, this guy's a great defender at second, but he's giving you close to league average or slightly below offense. Like, I think WAR is inflated for those guys. I really do. Do you know the difference? If you have the exact same, I don't know what the center field to corner outfield situation is, but second base to shortstop, if you have play the exact same amount of games and you have the exact same output offensively and you have the exact same amount of outs above average, both between second base and shortstop, it's only a 0.5 WAR difference. I think that's not enough.
I agree. That's not enough.
I don't know what the corner outfielding. I just wanted to mention that because I went down that rabbit hole the other day. I don't know how much to value. Like, I think corner defense is obviously very valuable. It's why we ranked Willier high. but I don't know.
But Willier's only done it twice. Kwan's done it 4 times. So Willier's
Well, Kwan done what?
I'm just fucking with you now. now I'm not. Now I'm in my nonsense period because I love Stephen Kwan. I think he is, as
I will say,
to be a well above average player in Major League Baseball. All right, and here comes podcast PD yell at me to tell me somehow Stephen Kwan isn't any good anymore. Apparently,
actually, no. It's actually I'm actually not. I just wanted to express one part of frustration with Stephen Kwan, and I know this is I know hitters have an approach. Stephen Kwan knows way more about hitting than me. However, in his career, 30% of Stephen Kwan's at-bats have started with him watching a fastball in the zone. That is a fact. 30% of the plate appearances in Stephen Kwan's career, the first pitch has been a fastball over the plate, and he's watched it.
He's a leadoff hitter. Sometimes you take the first pitch of the game, and the first pitch of the game is a strike. I think that's going to be elevated.
He never swings at the first pitch ever. And it's an outlier compared to other MLB players. That's the difference. And Stephen Kwan last year was horrific against four-seam fastballs. He also had a 96% zone contact rate, which is the highest in the StatCast era.
That's crazy.
He needs to ambush more. He needs to be more aggressive. He has the bat the ball skill, and he has the ability to impact in spots. I just really wish he would be a bit more aggressive because he's a bit too passive over the heart of the plate. It's like the Luis Ariz issue, but I like Kwan as a hitter more because he actually has plate discipline.
So the way I read that is, all right, he's starting 0-1 in a lot of counts, and he has still one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball. That's how good the contact skills are.
Yeah,
of course.
He's clearly comfortable in deep counts.
So he's comfortable in deep counts, and you're right, maybe he's not ambushing enough, but again, he's a leadoff hitter. He's supposed to take some pitches, and he takes some walks, and last year was probably his worst year offensively, and again, it was still a 3.2 F4. Like, is that the floor for Kwan? Is it a 99 WRC plus? Like, if we're taking an over-under on 100 WRC plus next year, I'm taking the over. And what does that mean? 3.5 win player. How many guys on this list are going to be 3.5 win players? Not that many. Because, again, he does all the little things. He's very similar to Nico Horner. And I love Nico Horner. I ranked him really high. I'm doing the same with Stephen Kwan. Because if we're talking about the little things, there are few players better in the entire world than guys like Stephen Kwan and guys like Nico Horner. And their floor is so high due to that if they ambush a couple more home runs, they put up a 4.7 win season in 122 games of the 131 WRC plus.
Yeah. I mean, if he gets back to that, I think there's no doubt, and he's closer to the top 5.
There's no doubt. It's just that 2024, he made so many strides to expand his game as a hitter, and he slightly regressed on some fronts. And that's not me really being low on Kwan. I think he can easily get back there. It's just, that's my thing I want to see from Stephen Kwan in 2025 is I want to see him be more aggressive in the zone. I think he's leaving. His contact skills are way too good for someone who's hitting 270 with a 330 OBP. It should be 290 with a 360, which he's done before. I'm saying I want him to get back there, and I think he will.
All right, next up on our list is Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers, the guy who's been a 3-win player once in his big league career. Just kidding. I don't want to disrespect him because Riley Green is a monster. He hit 36 jacks last year, put up an 806 OPS /258, 313, 493 slug, and ultimately it resulted in a 2.9 F4. He's got stupid juice. And we also got to remind ourselves, this guy's 25 years old. Last season, he was a 3.9 win player with a 134 WRC plus and 24 home runs. He upped the power output. Now, it did come at the result of some swing and miss. And he was one of the league leaders in strikeouts last year, one of the few players in baseball to strike out 200 or more times. And it's almost kind of like, what type of profile do you like better? Right? Do you like the guy who can leave the yard 35 to 40 times and put up gaudier offensive metrics, but isn't quite the defender and strikes out 30% of the time? Or would you prefer the guy who is going to be lower in the WRC plus department, play much better defense, run the bases better? It's kind of your own cup of tea. these two guys. That's why I went with Quan a good a bit higher. But I think a lot of us were just high on Riley Green, right? There's nothing. The only reason I'm comparing the two is just because this is a ranking show. But just Riley Green on the surface, I know he strikes out a lot, but that's the only problem with him, right?
Yeah,
like
if you could just cut it down a little bit. What was the biggest difference for you between Seiya Suzuki and Riley Green? K rate?
Yes, and I've also seen it from Seiya doing it much longer. And again, the 200 strikeouts thing
is a lot of punchies. That is the thing
and
too is
Seiya,
I'd like him to walk.
Seiya's offensive output, like his peak, has been higher than Riley Green, even last year with the 36 jacks.
Yeah, and the walks would help take some pressure and hedge the swing and miss a lot for Riley Green. That said, I think he's proven, even with the strikeouts now, that he's going to hit 30 homers. He's going to slug his way to that 3-WAR territory. I don't think they're going to run him out in center field much. I think he can really focus on continuing to get better in a corner where we've seen him be really good through stretches. We've seen him be okay, and we've seen him be kind of rough through stretches. So is there a middle ground there, in the corner outfield, which I think there will be, especially as he's not kind of moving between center and the corners. If that part can get better with his game too, and he's even slightly above average, I think that helps a ton. But I think the big thing to focus on with Green is if he can walk more. I mean, a 313 OBP is just not going to play. It's like the Santander-ish type of production last year that, as we see, like can be really hard to maintain year over year. So I think he's going to strike out. Can he also draw some more free passes? But slugging 493 in Comerica is nothing to be embarrassed about.
And due to the swing and miss concerns, to your point, I think there will be a lot of valleys. Like I could see a perfect world next year where he's a 4-win player. Yeah. Right? If he cuts the K rate down and gets his walk rate back up to that 2024 metric of 11%, but keeps the power.
He was there. In 24.
That guy is an incredible player. But if he's striking out 31% of the time, maybe the walks don't creep up and he has big valleys where it's bad, that could be a 2-win player.
Yeah.
Where with Seiya, it's like, this guy's just going to rake. And I feel much better about that higher floor of rakeage. I wish there was a rakeage bubble on the bot.
Crazy Riley Green thing. 32 of his 37 home runs came against right-handed pitching, and that was including the postseason. If you go just regular season, it's 32 of the 36. 620 OPS in left-on-left matchup. So if he can even continue to get incrementally better in that regard, I think that will help as well.
Anything else on Riley Green before we get to the next guy on our list? And because the next guy on our list, everyone calls me biased, and then we got half the company living down in Miami ranking Kyle Stowers as the 12th best corner outfielder in Major League Baseball. And to be fair to Kyle Stowers, in 110 games last year, the dude was so good. I mean, he really was. And I get being bullish on him. 288 batting average, 368 OBP, 544 slug for a 912 OPS with 25 jacks and 399, plate appearances. And it resulted in a 4-win season because the defense wasn't half bad at all. He's got a cannon of an arm. Like, I get it. 110 game sample, and we're ranking him 11th.
I guess it's different, right? Because he struggled a lot before that. But, I think when you're that good, over 100 game sample, it's hard to ignore. I could go lower. I kind of go back and forth on him because he's a tough player to completely assess. But we're talking about, among outfielders with at least 200 plate appearances last year, he was 6th behind Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, Ronald Acuna Jr., George Springer, and Aaron Judge in WRC+.
No, it was an incredible 110 game sample. I guess I'm just also concerned by the whiff, and I'm also concerned about every other game outside of just that 110 game sample.
117
being an unplayable player.
Baseball's wild like that.
It's a wild sport. And again, it's what I keep going back to. Like, it's a really, really hard sport. Does he have all the tools to do this again? He's always hit the ball really hard. Like, even in 2024, it was a 51% hard hit rate. I think he is going to hit. The thing is, again, I don't know how great of a defender he is. He didn't rank very well in outs above average. I think he had a couple defensive runs saved. I know he's got a good arm, and he hit the ball really hard last year and saw really good results. I just don't know if he's going to complete that. And to put him over some guys like, Jack McMarlin had him at 11. I know you had him at 11. Fink had him at 11. Eric had him at 11. Joey had him at 11.
Peyton had him at
12. I had him at 21.
Yeah. I mean,
I just 110 game sample. You know who I ranked above him? Randy Rosarina. You know what Randy's doing year in and year out? 3-win player, and he was 30-30 last year. Are we sure Kyle Stowers is now? I mean, again, and I ranked Randy 18, and I ranked Stowers 21. So I'm not here to say he's way better, but
Stowers was more productive than Randy's ever been in his career from a WAR output and home run output. I think pretty much was right on track. I think better than every year except for last year. I think
2021 we're splitting hairs. 3.9 win player, 2.7, 3.1, 2.0, 2.9.
And this is 117 games.
I know, but it's been 20 home runs. I'm just saying he's had an incredible sample of a 5-year stretch, and I don't see any reason why that's not going to continue. Kyle Stowers, I agree, at his peak, just had a incredible 117 game sample, but we have no idea truly what he's going to do again in year 2. We'll see. Is he better than Randy? I'd venture to say Randy's going to be better next year. Again, because there is still a lot of swing and miss concerns. And will balls find grass like they did? Like, sometimes results go in and out. We still haven't seen him play a full season.
I don't know if it was more finding the seats.
It was finding the seats.
40 homers, but when you're running a hard hit rate of like 52%, average EV of 91, and you're hitting the ball in the air consistently, I think it's gonna, like, slug was 544, X slug was 537. Wobo was 386, X Wobo was 375. I think the one question is, like, does he whiff a little bit more? But I think there was some clear adjustments and things that he figured out that got him there. But yeah, definitely a guy that could hit a wall this coming season. It'll be interesting to see. And yeah, I at the same time could also have a higher ceiling than just about every player we talked about based on what we saw this last year.
And do you think he's going to play all the time against lefties? Because again, it's another guy who had an OPS below 700.
Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing he's been focusing on. He will be the guy that's in the lineup every single day for them. I think almost, unless it's just a scheduled day off.
All right. Now, I could be wrong on this. Again, I just fall back. I even see this Peter 21 is absolutely absurd, right? I'm just not, when I'm ranking guys, it's normally different from a lot of people because I think a lot of people are focused on 2025. And I'm looking at your larger body of work and I'm saying, what's the most likely scenario to put up a higher FWAR in the next season? And I think when I've been able to rank, a lot of the guys who I keep a little bit higher normally do get there. And some guys I'm wrong on and they exceed what I think, but the majority of them fall short. Maybe Kyle Stowers is that player.
One thing that I think that works in his favor, slugged 543 against fastballs, 520 against breaking balls, and 575 against off speed.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
If there is a regression, where does it come? Maybe it's a little bit of everywhere. Because again, I do think the whiff is obviously high, but he also seems to maximize his slug on contact. So it'll be a fun case study. Like, it'll be fun to see how he follows it up. And as long as that strikeout rate is anywhere around 30% or less, I think he's going to be right around what he did last year.
And this guy, I'm really excited to talk about it. Number 11, and last but certainly not least, because of course we're going to have 10 through 1 coming on Thursday, James Wood of the Washington Nationals. Last year it was 31 jacks, 15 steals. He had 256, 350, 475 slug for an 825 OPS. And this guy hits the living piss out of baseballs. Put up a 127 WRC plus, and it was a 3.3 FWAR. And he also, similarly to Stowers, has a ton of whiff in his game. I mean, the man struck out 32% of the time last year. However, he's able to hedge it with that 12.3% walk rate. And also, you know, the entire Nationals team fell off a cliff in the second half. I mean, James Wood in the first half was a 915 OPS. Now, is he going to put up a 915 OPS next year? Probably not. But is it probably going to be like an 870 OPS? Like, I think that this guy is going to rank. When we look at where everybody ranked him, I had him at 12. You had him at 12. Oh, wow. It's 12s across the board, except Peyton had him at 10. I guess a question for you, like James Wood versus Kyle Stowers, right? Like you had Kyle Stowers one spot ahead of him. And with James Wood, I just feel like he's much more of a dynamic athlete. However, want to talk defense? Because James Wood is not very good defensively.
I don't know what was good there. I think this coming season, there's a good chance Wood's going to give you a little bit more offensively. I honestly think because Stowers has got his swing to a point where it's so compact and efficient, like and fast, his floor is higher. Wood obviously, in terms of damage, is up there with just about anybody, and the bat speed is also elite. But there's just points where it can get long, and you start to see the whiff creep in, and it was a lot of whiff there. Where I just think there could be those ebbs and flows. I mean, he's gonna get his though, and I think we saw that. And I think the fact that you have almost, I would say, 1.5 seasons here, where he was a 120 WRC plus in 2024 in an 80 game sample, and then he follows that up with the year he had last year, which was a 127, even with the ebbs and flows. I think when this guy's on, it's gonna be a little bit Riley Greenish. But there's way more violence, I think, in the swing, and that allows him. This is a guy that truly has 50 home run upside. So the speed could continue to be a part of his game, but he wasn't efficient on the base paths. I still think that could be a bigger part of his game. And the defense, I don't know why it's not better. It should be better, and I hope just as he continues to work in a corner that it does get better. If it does, that's going to help his case a lot. But I think there is just a question of, there were stretches where he was as automatic of a strikeout as we had in baseball. But also, I've been on record saying, like, I will bet on this guy any day of the week. He's going to be 23 years old for almost the entirety of the season. I think there is some valid concern, though, that from, the All-Star break onward, he punched out 40% of the time just about.
It's just, I don't know what to do with that second half last season of the Nationals because everyone cratered. It was like there was something in the air there in Washington. Yeah. Their team fell off a cliff. Mackenzie Gore had a horrible second half. CJ Abrams, James Wood. You go down the line, like everyone except Dalen Lyle, which is maybe why Lyle should be much higher on this list because he was able to avoid whatever was in the air. And another thing with James Wood that just continues to impress me. He doesn't pull the ball in the air like at all. And he rocks a 50% ground ball rate and it's 31 jacks.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Because whenever he lifts, he does shit like this that Podcast P is throwing on the screen. What is that?
Some of the most ridiculous swings I've ever seen for homers, where it's fastballs on the inside black that he's inside out swinging that are going out the other way. Yeah, there's 100 on the inside black that he hits backside. It's one of those things that isn't necessary for him to be great, and you want him to honestly just because he can leave the yard foul pole to foul pole. But once he starts just pulling the ball in the air a little bit more, just naturally,
he'll wake up to 40 home runs.
And I don't even know if it's pull in the air as much as just cutting the ground ball rate in general. Maybe if he's able to just lift more to center field, these are going to backspin and leave the yard. He has hit comical homers some swings that I've never really seen before. That's what makes him so fascinating to me. And it really is. I think he is going to have that like epiphany where he gets to a point. I'm not saying he's going to reach the ceiling, but another 6'7" slugger. He has this epiphany as he learns how his body moves, where he can leverage his levers the way that Aaron Judge does. And it's just foul pole to foul pole. If you put it in the zone and it's in a spot where I like to hit it, it's gone. And once he finds that, it's going to happen. He's 23 years old for the entirety of this upcoming season.
I think he's going to win an MVP one year. I think 1 year, and I'm not even saying 2026. Again, I ranked him at 12. One of these seasons, it's going to click for him, and we're just going to see some otherworldly numbers. Like if he makes a swing change or something, let's say in 2027, 2028, when he's in his mid-20s, like hitting his prime, I think this could be a guy who's hitting 45 home runs and stealing 25 bases. and
if the defense is league average,
putting up stupid numbers to get him to a 6-win season, which again might not be enough for an MVP, but I think those counting numbers are going to be so otherworldly that he's going to be one of those guys. Does it click for him next year? I don't know. We have to remind ourselves that he's going to be 23 years old. So is it happening this year? Probably not. But by the time he's 27, I think we're going to see some gnarly numbers. Podcast P, before we go, what's up?
Just a quick thing. I don't even know how to feel about this, but what's up with the Nationals and having all of these kind of freak athletes who just don't grade out well defensively? James Wood should be a good defender. CJ Abrams feels like he should be a sick defender. Dalen Lyle, a similar thing. And the thing is, it's not like they're bad. They had Cruz. They had Alex Call.
That tells
it's just
coaching.
So odd.
That tells me about coaching.
And it is an interesting thing too, because do you remember they had the whole drama in the second half with Davey Martinez? They went on the losing streak, and he was like, "Oh, it's not my fault."
Yeah, it wasn't his fault.
And
but when they win, it's because of him. Though.
So I really do wonder in the second half if a lot of guys were dude,
I will say people know I'm bullish on the Nationals and the organizational development and what Taboni's doing, but I also think a young manager with that group is going to resonate a lot more than a guy that's been on World Series teams and I think was probably frustrated to be on this sinking ship for so long. And I think the buy-in is going to be different from these guys. And I think they're going to be preaching some little things on the defense side. Yeah, because Lyle, I can go back to my scouting reports from 2-3 years ago, and it was always frustrating defense for how athletic he is. Definitely wasn't being hammered down out there, in Harrisburg and in some of these other places. And I bet you it is now. And I think that starts from the top. So I do think that helps James Wood's case. And I think I'm excited to see what it looks like, in general. Nationals are another one I think is an interesting over pick just because they're going to be more competent behind the scenes as well this year.
We'll see about that. All right, but that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. And I love this comment. No matter how much we argue in the YouTube comment section, no matter how much Aram, Podcast B, and I, and Jack, and Fink, whenever we have on, we argue about these things. At the end of the day, we're all friends, and it is so much fun. At the end of the day, just to rank guys. See where everybody ranks them. And the comment comes to us from Mike G. Nevertheless, great episode, fellas. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Just Baseball Show, best way to support, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure to press that big red like button. Or no, that's the subscribe button. Do both while you're down there. And if you're listening on audio, the best way to support there is leave a 5-star review. If you want to join the best baseball group chat in the world, you can find the link to that in the episode description, or another link, Just Baseball merch. See me rocking the hat. Go get yours in the episode description. Our top 20, just to recap: Taylor Ward at 20, 19 Ian Happ, 18 Brandon Nimmo, 17 Wilyer Abreu, 16 Seiya Suzuki, 15 Tyler Soderstrom, 14 Stephen Kwan, 13 Riley Green, 12 Kyle Stowers, and 11 James Wood. We will be back tomorrow, college baseball preview. And then Thursday, the rest of the Corner Outfielders list. And with that, thank you, everybody.